What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for August 9th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a feel-good Friday edition of the podcast. A rainy, steamy, dreary, feel-good Friday, but it is Friday nonetheless. We have Eagles preseason football tonight. More on that in a bit. The Phillies are hot. And our Little League team from Council Rock, Newtown, is playing for a spot in the World Series, Little League World Series. All of that coming up later. But first, be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're slowly growing our subscribers, and all of that helps. Even if you're listening on the podcast, all of that helps us grow. And we continue to get more interactions on all the social media posts. But I'm trying to grow the YouTube as well as the comments and interactions with wherever you're listening. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that other good stuff. And then be sure to spread the word. Word of mouth is basically the best way to help grow this thing. And I'm always running into people, which is actually, I think, really cool, that are like, hey, yeah, I've checked you out. I enjoy this, that, and the other. So thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. We're doing a little appreciation post on a Friday to make us feel better because of the dreary weather. Debbie is coming, but thank you. We are finishing up on Sunday our Philly Olympic Spotlight, which means it's time to focus on the Eagles. And instead of doing a typical Eagles preview like I normally would, I'm going to just incorporate it into the daily pod. We got 20 questions in 20 days about the Eagles heading into the 2024 season, culminating with my prediction and picks for this season. So stay tuned for that. That gets underway on Monday. All right, so back to the Phils. Good win last night, 3 in a row. There we go. There's our winning streak. They actually won the first game of a series, which is huge now. That's 4 on this West Coast swing. One more win out of the next 3 games, and I will call it a success. Yeah, 3 games. It was a 10-game. It's a 4-game series against Arizona, but I'll call it a success. But now let's get a little greedy. Let's go 6-4, maybe even 7-3. Nothing wrong with getting a little greedy, but 6-4 last night. Colby Allard looked very, very good. 5 innings pitched, 3 Ks, 1 run. Just made a bad pitch. Same thing happened in the Cleveland game on the last Sunday game when they were here. That was the game we were down to. He just made 1 bad pitch, and the guy hit it out. So for a young pitcher, I'll take that. He looked good. JT finally hit a home run, his first since I think like May. Bryce went 3 for 4. So slowly we're starting to they're getting there. And to recap yesterday's question of the day, I asked you, are you ready to say the Phillies are back? It was 50-50, and I guarantee most of the votes came in before this game, but I think it's safe to say the Phils are back. They're not all the way through it yet, but they were able to get through this West Coast trip, get out of their slump, and then they're coming home where they play better anyway. So I'll take it. Wheeler's on the mound tonight. They're currently 8 games up on the Braves, who did not play last night, but 50% of you agree with me. The Phillies are back. The other 50%, I'm still saying you probably reacted with emotion. We talked about that the other day. But you will come back around by the end of this weekend. I promise you. But it's nice to see that they won the first game of a series for the first time in what seems like forever. And now you kind of set yourself up now for the rest of the series to win one of the next 3 to earn a split. But again, I want to get greedy. Let's get greedy. Tawan Walker possibly might be back pitching on Tuesday. They're trying to find some place where there's no rain for him to pitch. His last start got rained out up in Lehigh Valley, but it looks like he's going to be back, and you know what you're going to get with him. A roll of the dice, basically. But the other good news is Spencer Turnbull was going to start throwing from the mound next week. or he might have started this week. Either way, I think the weather has really impacted what they've been able to do, but that's a good sign as well. So things are slowly starting to turn around. And again, I'm not going to get too excited that Tawan Walker is coming back, especially the way that Phillips and Allard have been playing. But it's nice to have that. And maybe, just maybe, he might be an okay guy to throw in the bullpen. I doubt it, but we'll see. All right, but they're back in action tonight at 9. I'm excited to actually possibly be able to catch some of a game. I feel like I haven't watched the Phillies in a week because they've been out west. I think the last game I watched was the Seattle game last Sunday, so I'm getting a little antsy and going through withdrawal of the Phillies. But we'll be able to watch a game or two this weekend, so looking forward to that. New episode of Clashing Conferences podcast came out today. Be sure to go support my boys over there. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And Philly Goat, I've been telling you about doing your back-to-school shopping. Yes, do your back-to-school shopping. All of the baseball stuff right now, 10% of those sales go toward the Darren Dalton Foundation. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Get the stickers, hats, hoodies, whatever you need to get ready for back to school. Philly Goat's got you covered. Jim Montgomery is the promo code to take 10% off, and it also shows Ryan and the team over at Philly Goat that you're listening. But Sunday, August 25th, they're doing a Phillies Royals watch party down at the Palladium in South Philly with none other than John Kruk. You can sit down, have a beer, some wings with Kruk, talk about the Battle Brothers Foundation, and watch the Phillies take on the Royals, which actually should be a pretty decent game out in Kansas City. I believe that starts at 2, but go to Philly Goat if you follow them on their social media for all the details on that. But a Phillies watch party with John Kruk. Trying to rearrange my schedule to make sure I'm able to get down there as well. But check out Philly Goat and be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. All right, so the Eagles are in action tonight in Baltimore. Weather permitting, I guess, depending on how bad Debbie is. It just seems funny, too, talking about a hurricane by their first name. But anyway, what are you looking for tonight? That's the question of the day. What are you most looking for? No word on whether the starters are going to play or not. If the weather is going to be as crappy as it seems like the forecast is saying, I'm not so sure you're going to see Jalen or any of the first-team offense for that matter. However, what are you most looking forward to tonight? Offense, defense, checking out the new kickoff in person. I know we've seen it a couple. There was a couple games yesterday in the Hall of Fame game, but seeing how the Eagles are going to attack it, or are you just hoping for no injuries? Let me know. 267-495-8531 gets you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. You can also hit me up on the social media for that. But what are you most looking forward to tonight? The offense, defense, the kickoff, injuries, or is it something else? Let me know. 267-495-8531. That will get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that and anything else Philly sports related off your chest. Want to tell me why the Phillies aren't back? That is your place to do it. You want to vent on our next portion of the show? By all means, I am ready for it. But the other Eagles story was Nick Foles announced that he is retiring from football. He will retire as an Eagle, the team that drafted him, the team that he helped to win our only and first Super Bowl. There will be a ceremony September 16th against the Falcons on Monday Night Football. I guess technically it's not the home opener, but the home opener at the Link for the Eagles. But, I mean, what can they say about Nick Foles? And I'm going to start and preface all of this by saying I like Nick Foles. I appreciate what he's done. And, I mean, that Super Bowl run, I don't think anybody has ever had a more magical run than what Nick Foles did the end of 2017, leading up to the MVP of the Super Bowl. You go back in his career, he had the 27-2 in 2013 through 7 touchdowns in a game. And it looked like he was going to be the heir apparent to Donovan. Finally, we had a quarterback. Unfortunately, just a very inconsistent career. But again, he is solely, I shouldn't say solely, that's not fair. But he is majorly responsible for the greatest moment in Eagles history. And honestly, the greatest play in Eagles history. You can take the Miracle of the Meadowlands, either one of the three. You can take 4th and 26. You can take any of the plays that Donovan did, any of the plays with Jalen, Mike Vick, any of them. Chuck Bednarik hit on Frank Gifford. None of them, they all pale in comparison to the Philly special, which is the greatest play, and I'm willing to go because tell me which Super Bowl play was more iconic and a better play than the Philly special. So the best play in Super Bowl history, I'd be willing to put the Philly special up there with the Immaculate Reception and plays like that, because the key to the Immaculate Reception did not win the Super Bowl. The Immaculate Reception was, I forget whether it was a divisional game or the AFC Championship game. The Eagles don't win. That play doesn't work, or the Doug Peterson kicks a field goal there. The Eagles don't win the Super Bowl. So to me, Philly special, greatest play in NFL history. Yes, I'm saying it, and prove me wrong. The other thing that came up with Nick Foles, and I don't want to slander Nick Foles on the day he announced his retirement, but there's a lot, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, but a lot of people were talking about how the Eagles should retire Nick Foles' number, and I'm very adamant and very clear on that. No, they should not. I feel like there's three camps when it comes to retiring numbers. Specifically with Nick Foles. You have the camp that says, yes, he's responsible for winning the only Super Bowl. You need to retire his number. You have the folks like me who say, no, you only retire numbers for the all-time greats. Now, I said this a couple times on Twitter, people's Twitter posts yesterday, and interacting with people. Nick Foles is responsible for the all-time great play or moment, play, whatever, I guess you could say moment, the all-time greatest moment in Eagles history. That does not make him an all-time great player. Yes, he's a fan favorite. Yes, he will never buy dinner or pay for a drink in Philly ever, but that is not number retirement worthy. Because unfortunately for Nick, he had that 2013 year and that magical little run in 2017, threw it together nicely when he came in for Carson Wentz at the end of the following year in 2018. But other than that, he couldn't really do much. His MO was he was good off the bench. I mean, he's almost like somebody like Dennis Eckersley, who was, and I think Raleigh Fingers also started off as a starter too. Guys like that in baseball who were starters just were okay as starters, but excelled coming off the bench and closing out games. Or like Greg Gross, who was the king of pinch hitting in Major League Baseball. Nick Foles was that guy. Like you could not rely on him to be your every down, every game starter. But if you needed a spark off the bench, and he did it in Philly, he did it in Chicago, he did it in Jacksonville to a certain point. That's who you called. And that is not to disparage Nick. And I know there's some people out there who are cringing and ready to reach through your screens or your phones right now to punch me in the face. But Nick Foles is not an all-time great, so you don't retire his number. I'm okay with the statue. I know a lot of people don't like it. I love the statue because it's such an iconic moment in the greatest moment and greatest game, greatest whatever you want to call it right now in Eagles history. The only time we won the Super Bowl, and Nick Foles had played a huge role in that. So I am not disparaging Nick at all. He's just not number worthy. And then you have the third group of people when it comes to retiring numbers who said no number should be retired. No, like that to me is the ultimate, like, hey, you nobody should ever wear your number because that's how good you were. Brian Dawkins, Reggie White, Donovan McNabb, yes. Chuck Bednarik, Steve Van Buren, Jerome Brown, yes. Nick Foles, sorry, you got a statue. And I think it's an awesome statue. There should be a statue for that. But all of that to say, best of luck in your career, Nick, or your post-football career. Thank you from the bottom of my and every other Eagles fan out there listening, because I'm sure I can say, and everyone will agree with me on this, thank you so much for giving us so much joy and finally allowing us to be a part of the conversations when Giants and Cowboys and Commanders fans start talking about Super Bowl wins. We can actually participate in the conversation. Yeah, we only got one, but hey, and I've said this analogy before we get off on the Nick Foles thing. To me, the Super Bowl winning a Super Bowl is like getting a ticket and being admitted into like the best club there is in the city. And yeah, we're general admission. We're down on the lower level, but we're in the club. Yeah, we're not up there with the Patriots, the Niners, the Cowboys, who are in VIP with bottle service. But we're in the club. We're waiting in line for our drinks. We're in the club. We're interacting. We're dancing. We're having a good time. And that is because of you, Nick. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of all Eagles fans' hearts, Eagle Nation. Thank you. We appreciate it. Go Birds. All right, some Sixers news. Joe was a beast yesterday in the semifinal game against Serbia. And stop me if you've heard this before. I don't know if anybody out there watched the game, but I was watching it, and when Joe went off the floor, the team struggled. And this is the NBA All-Star. So that, to me, reminded me of every Sixers game pretty much ever since Joe's been here. And when he came back on, his energy and the way the team played changed. He played 27 minutes, had 19 points on 8 of 11 shooting, hit 2 threes, pulled down 4 boards, but it was really the shots that he made were big shots. He played solid defense against Jokic, and I still can't get over how poorly they played when Joe wasn't on the court, and it seems like he is finding his comfort zone, and when they needed him down the stretch, and there's no reason why what you saw yesterday in that game isn't what Joe can and should bring to the table when the Sixers come back to play in October. And speaking of the Sixers coming back, they will be playing, rumored, I don't think anything official yet, but it looks like they'll be playing Christmas Day against the Celtics. Always fun to watch the NBA on Christmas Day. But Joe was a beast. They play France tomorrow for the gold medal. Should be a good one because the crowd hates France, and Joe loves playing the foil. He was getting the crowd. He was the last one off the court, telling the crowd to, like, as they were booing him, and they gave him a nice little DX. Suck it. All right, Council Rock, Newtown Little League plays today versus the DC team at 3 on ESPN with a spot in the Little League World Series in Williamsport on the line. They 10-run this team the last time they played, but can't get complacent. Got to play your game, boys, and let's go to Williamsport. We will, as I mentioned, we will be watching this as soon as camp is over. We'll be watching this today, but good luck to the boys from Council Rock, Newtown Little League, as they look to punch their ticket to Williamsport. We also have a big Union game tonight. Lots going on in Philly sports today, but big Union game tonight. They're playing their Leagues Cup round of 32 matchup against Montreal, thanks to winning their group play with the draw they had against Cruz Azul the other night. They'll be playing at Subaru Park. That game is on Apple TV, and it looked like it was a free game to watch tonight. That's at 7:30 at Subaru Park. So hopefully the Union can move on to the round of 16 against Montreal. All right, today we're not going back far. We're going to go back to last year. And on this day last year in 2023, Phillies beat the Nationals 7-0. Nick Castellanos had 2 homers and 3 RBI. Weston Wilson also homered, but the big story was, you probably remember it well, it was such a fun thing to watch. Michael Lorenzen pitched a 124-pitch no-hitter, walking 4, striking out 5 in his first home start as a Philly. Rob Thompson I forgot about this until I was looking, but Rob Thompson almost pulled him out, and the batter, I forget who the last batter of the game was, but that batter was going to be Lorenzen's last batter, but he was able to get him out and pitch the no-hitter. For the Phils, Michael Lorenzen was okay when they brought him over. I feel like he was never quite the same after the no-hitter. I pitched in 11 games, went 4-2 with a 5.51 ERA. Did pitch 2 2 2/3 scoreless innings in the postseason, but he just was never the same after the no-hitter. But it was the 14th no-hitter in Phillies team history. For those keeping score at home, Roy Halladay, 2 of them, including the perfect game against the Marlins. Cole Hamels also, I would give him 1 2/3 of a no-hitter. He pitched the one in his last start, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, and then he was a part of a combined no-hitter where he pitched the first 6. Chooch caught 4 of the Phillies' 14 no-hitters, but this is always something it was, and maybe this is just me. It's just me. I'm not sure, but on the flip side of this, the Phillies have been no-hit more times than any other team. 21 times the Phillies have been no-hit, which is the most in Major League Baseball history. Last time was that ridiculous no-hitter in Game 4 of the World Series in 2022, which really just screwed up the rest of the series. Phillies had a 2-1 lead at that point. But on this day last year, Michael Lorenzen pitched the 14th no-hitter in Phillies team history as the Phillies beat the Nationals 7-0. Nick Castellanos with 2 homers, Weston Wilson with 1, and Lorenzen. It was such a cool moment. It was his first start in Citizens Bank Park. His wife and kid were there, his mom. It was just a very, very cool moment. And that happened on this day last year in 2023. I wouldn't mind seeing a no-hitter coming up soon as the Phillies go down the stretch. It'd be good to see Sanchez or Ranger come back and pitch a no-hitter. But, hey, I can dream, can't I? Finally today, Phillies Olympic Spotlight. We're going to take a look at Matt Fallon, who's a swimmer and a current Penn student. This was his first Olympics, and he swam in the 200-meter breaststroke. He is the current U.S. record holder in that stroke, so hopes were high for him. He was also the bronze medalist in last year's World Championships. It was a very competitive field, and Fallon ended up finishing 10th in this year's Olympics. However, he's only 21, so he should have another shot in 4 years. But thank you for making the University of Penn proud, Matt, and being the top 10 in the world in a specific swim stroke, that's nothing to sneeze at. So shout out to you, Matt Fallon, for taking 10th in the 200-meter breaststroke. You are the U.S. record holder, and the sky is the limit. You will have another shot again in 4 years. Just keep making Penn proud. And Matt Fallon is today's Philly Olympic Spotlight. On this day last year, Michael Lorenzen pitched a no-hitter against the Nationals in his first start at Citizens Bank Park, gearing up for the Union, the Council Rock Newtown Little League, and the Eagles tonight. Lots to watch, and then you're going to put the cherry on top with the Phillies out in Arizona with Zack Wheeler on the mound. But for the Eagles, be sure to let me know, what are you most looking forward to tonight? Watching the offense, the defense, kickoff, just hoping for no injuries? Is there something else that you want to see, a specific player? All of that is fair game. 267-495-8531. Get in on the Back to the Future voice and text line and tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me that Nick Foles' number should be retired. I'm all for it. I will tell you you're wrong. However, that is perfectly fine. If you make a compelling argument, maybe I'll have a sit down with you and we can have a one-on-one debate about it on the podcast. But congratulations, Nick. In all honesty, in all seriousness, thank you for the greatest single moment in Eagles history. It's not hyperbole. That is 100% the greatest single moment. And best of luck in your retirement. And I wasn't going to go down to the game because I have to be into the office early on Tuesday morning. But I think my plans may have just changed. It might be, hopefully nobody I work with is listening to this, because I probably will be missing our leadership meeting on September 17th. For PTO, I might have the Nick Foles flu. But Be safe out there. It's supposed to be windy and just crazy as Debbie rolls through. So, again, be safe out there. But it's a feel-good Friday. We got a lot going on in Philly sports today. Looking forward to it. Now I just got to get through the work day and then put my feet up and relax. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 9th, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Friday. And until next time, go Birds. Football is back.